Victor, she said his name, like she'd known it forever. Do you know what happens when a man gets everything he's ever wanted? He blinked. He becomes happy. No, she whispered, he becomes empty. Before he could respond, she leaned in and touched his chest lightly with her palm. It was a gentle touch. The sun was beginning to dip behind the hills of Oritama, casting a lazy gold over the red earth roads. Evening was coming, and with it the usual buzz. Children playing with tires, women gossiping at shop fronts, and the men watching. But tonight their eyes weren't on football or politics. They were on her. She walked into town from the Eastern Road alone, pulling a small black suitcase behind her. Her skin was caramel smooth, her waist impossibly tiny, her hips full, round, hypnotic. Her walk was slow and steady, like she owned time itself. Every step turned heads. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. At Mama Blessing's canteen, two men nearly dropped their bowls of egusi soup. "Who is that?" one whispered. "I don't know. But she doesn't look like she's from here." The woman didn't smile, she didn't wave, she only looked ahead, as if the world behind her didn't matter. When she stopped at the guest house beside the church, even the caretaker, Baba Samson, who was known for never leaving his radio, stood up from his plastic chair and removed his cap. "Good. Evening, madam," he stammered. "I need a room," she said, her voice smooth and calm. "Upstairs, with a balcony." He nodded quickly and reached for the register. She signed her name with a flourish. Adanma. No surname, no address, just Adanma. That night the guest house lights flickered, as if unsure how to behave in her presence. From her balcony she watched the street below, sipping from a wine glass no one saw her bring. Her phone buzzed once. She answered. "I've arrived," she said quietly. A pause. "No, not yet. Let them come to me." She hung up. Below, a group of young men had already gathered at the kiosk opposite the guest house. They pretended to drink malt and discuss politics, but their eyes stayed fixed on the balcony. "I swear," one of them said, "I've never seen a woman shaped like that in real life." Another laughed nervously. "You're not the only one. My knees started shaking when she passed me." "She didn't even greet anyone," said the third. "That kind of beauty is dangerous." But one of them, Victor, smiled confidently. "She's just a woman. I'm going to talk to her tomorrow." "Victor, don't do it," the second guy warned. Victor leaned back in his chair, smirking. "All of you can keep shaking in your shorts. I'll find out who she really is." From the balcony above them, Adanma stood quietly, staring down through the curtain. She could hear every word they were saying. Her hearing was sharper than they knew. She smiled faintly and whispered to herself, "And so it begins." Victor woke up earlier than usual the next morning. He ironed his favorite shirt, sky blue, short-sleeved, and trimmed the edges of his beard twice. He didn't want to look like he was trying too hard, but he wanted to be remembered. By 10 a.m., he was already lingering by the front of the guest house. He didn't knock. He simply waited, acting like he just happened to be passing by, as though fate was the one making the move, not him. Then she stepped out. Adanma. She wore a white blouse tucked into high-waisted jeans. The shape of her body was even more defined in daylight. Her skin shimmered slightly, like it absorbed the sun differently. She didn't wear makeup. She didn't need to. Victor straightened up. "Good morning," he said with practiced calm. She paused, turned slowly, and looked at him. Really looked at him. "Good morning," she replied. There was a brief silence. The air around them seemed to pause too. "I'm Victor," he offered, with a soft smile. "I live just across the street." She nodded once. "I know." You know," he chuckled nervously. "I saw you staring from the kiosk last night." Victor raised his hands. "Guilty, but in my defense, it's not every day someone like you walks into Oritama." Her lips curved slightly, not quite a smile, not quite disapproval. "You flatter easily." "Only when it's deserved," he replied. She turned away. "I'm going for a walk. If you're coming, keep up." And just like that, she began walking down the dusty road, not looking back. Victor blinked, then followed. They walked in silence at first, through the shaded parts of the town. Occasionally, Adanma glanced at him with unreadable eyes. "So what brings you to Oratama?" he asked. "I'm resting. I've been to many places." It was time to pause. "Are you married?" She looked at him, amused. "Would I be walking with you if I was?" Victor chuckled. "Fair point." They reached a quiet path behind the primary school. Trees lined the side, casting long shadows. "You're bold," she said suddenly. "Me?" he grinned. "Some people call it foolish." "And what do you call it?" "Curiosity." She stopped walking. They were alone now. The air had grown still. Adanma turned to him and stepped closer, so close he could smell something sweet and ancient on her skin, like roses soaked in rain, and something older, darker. "Victor," she said his name, like she'd known it forever. "Do you know what happens when a man gets everything he's ever wanted?" He blinked. "He becomes happy." "No," she whispered, "he becomes empty." Before he could respond, she leaned in and touched his chest lightly with her palm. It was a gentle touch, warm, but the moment it connected, Victor's knees gave out. He gasped and dropped to the ground like a sack of rice. His heart pounded, his arms numb, his eyes fluttered. "What? What's happening?" She crouched beside him. "You wanted me, and now you have me." Victor tried to speak, but no words came out. He looked at his hands. They were shaking, his vision blurred. "You'll walk home," she said calmly, "but when you get there, your mother won't know you. Your girlfriend will no longer remember your name. You'll sleep every night and dream of greatness, but wake up to nothing. That is the price." Tears rolled down his cheeks. Adanma stood and adjusted her blouse. "I gave you more than I usually give. I was in a generous mood." She walked away, leaving him slumped in the dirt, trembling and hollow. Sunday morning arrived quietly in Oratama. The air smelled of fresh soap, ironed lace, and early morning stew. Church bells rang gently across the sleepy town, but beneath the hymns and hallelujahs, rumors were growing louder. First it was Tunde, now Victor. Two young men, once full of life and ambition, now walking around town like strangers in their own skin. No energy, no joy, no memory of who they used to be. And the common factor? Her, Adanma. The woman who came out of nowhere, the woman whose backside had become the downfall of local men. In the modest yellow building of House of Dominion Ministries, Pastor Ikenna stood behind his pulpit, his voice echoing into the rafters. "There is a spirit walking among us," he thundered, "a spirit wearing the shape of a woman, sent to destroy destinies." The congregation murmured. "She wears perfume, yes. She smiles, yes. But underneath that beauty is a coffin lined with gold." Amaka, the choir mistress, looked toward the back where Adanma sat in the third row, legs crossed, eyes closed, completely calm. Pastor Ikenna's gaze followed. She was dressed in white lace, her hair tied in a sleek bun. She looked like a bride at a royal wedding. But the pastor's spirit felt unsettled. He stepped down from the altar slowly. "Sister," he called, "you in the third row." Adanma opened her eyes. "Yes, Pastor," she said quietly. "Please rise," he commanded. She did, gracefully. "What's your name?" She smiled gently. "Adanma." "Adanma," he repeated, approaching her slowly. "Where are you from?" She tilted her head. "Does it matter?" He frowned. "It does. Because you walk into this town, and now two young men can't remember their own families. That is no coincidence." The entire church fell into a deep hush. Adanma turned slightly toward the crowd. "Are you accusing me, Pastor?" "I'm speaking as led by the Spirit," he said, now only a few feet from her. "If you are truly innocent, you will let me pray for you." She looked at him for a moment, then gave a small nod. "Go ahead." He placed his right hand gently on her forehead. The choir began humming softly. Every spirit of confusion, every demonic assignment, I cast you out in the name of Jesus." She didn't flinch. Pastor Ikenna pressed harder. "I bind you." Adanma simply looked into his eyes. "Pastor," she said calmly, "did you fast before you tried this?" His hand trembled. "You came here with flesh and confidence, but not fire." Suddenly, he gasped. His eyes widened, his legs wobbled. From her forehead, a pulse of energy rushed through his arm like electric fire. He stumbled backward, fell to his knees, sweating and shaking. Adanma stepped forward. "Your heart is not clean. Your hands are heavy with judgment, but light on mercy. Your faith is noisy, but empty." She looked toward the pulpit. "This building has no oil, only pride." Two ushers rushed forward to help the pastor, but he couldn't stand. His legs had gone numb. I can't feel my feet," he whispered, shaking. Adanma turned to the congregation and smiled. "You may continue your service." Then, without another word, she walked out, leaving behind a pastor who couldn't walk and a congregation too stunned to speak. The sun was setting when Obinna walked back into his compound. He had been missing for 3 days. His wife, Ngozi, had cried until her voice cracked, reported him to the vigilante group, even checked the river by the shrine. But now there he was, standing at the gate, dusty, eyes sunken, clothes rumpled like he had fought with the wilderness. She flung the door open and ran to him. "Obinna, my God, where have you been? Where?" He looked at her with tired, distant eyes. I don't remember," he murmured. "I just know I followed someone." "Who?" she asked, grabbing his shirt. "Who did you follow?" He winced at her touch, like it burned. She lives in the guest house. Her name is Adanma." Ngozi froze. She had heard the name. Everyone had. She guided him inside, sat him down, and fetched water. He didn't speak. He just stared at the ground like it held secrets. Later that night, as he lay on the bed motionless, Ngozi sat at the edge, her jaw clenched. "You will tell me everything," she whispered. Obinna flinched. "I don't remember much, just flashes." "Start with the first one." He swallowed. "I met her on the road behind the market. She was standing alone, looking like she was waiting for someone. I asked if she was lost. She listened, expression tight. She smiled and said, 'You found me.' Then she asked if I could walk her to the guest house. When we got there, she asked if I wanted to come up for a drink." Ngozi's eyes narrowed. "And you said yes?" "I said yes," he admitted quietly. "And you went up with her?" He nodded. "The room smelled like flowers and burnt wood. I can't explain it. She poured me something. It was red, but when I drank it, it tasted like honey. And then," he paused. "Then what?" "She touched my hand, and everything went dark. When I woke up, I was lying in an empty room. No light, no sound, just shadows moving on the walls, and I felt like something inside me was missing." Ngozi stood up. "You fool, you let her touch you. You let her take something." "I didn't know." "You didn't think," she snapped. "You let lust carry you straight into the lion's mouth." He bowed his head. "I'm sorry, Ngozi." She shook her head. "Sorry won't return what she took. Look at you. You don't even recognize your own voice anymore." Obinna looked at his hands. They were shaking. He had always been strong. Now he felt like a whisper of himself. "I want to fight back," he said, "but I don't know how." She looked at him for a long moment, then picked up her wrapper and tied it tightly around her waist. "I'm going to see her." Obinna's eyes widened. "No, Ngozi, you can't." "She took you," Ngozi said, her voice cold, "but she hasn't taken me yet. And if no one in this village has the courage to face her properly, then I will." He stood and grabbed her arm. "You don't understand. She's not human." Then it's time someone reminded her that some women are more dangerous than spirits. That night the moon was full heavy, round watching. Ngozi walked down the quiet street toward the Coralville guest house with a scarf tied tightly around her head and a small Bible clutched in her hand. Her feet moved with certainty. She wasn't trembling. She wasn't second-guessing herself. She had made up her mind. As she stepped into the compound of the guest house, the wind suddenly stilled. The air turned cold, too cold for July in Oritama. The lights flickered in the corridor, like they knew who she was looking for. She climbed the stairs. Room 7. She didn't knock. She kicked the door open. The room was dimly lit, smelling of roses and something older. "I was wondering when you'd come," Adanma said without turning. "You knew?" "I always know." Ngozi stepped inside and shut the door behind her. "You took my husband. I want him back." "I didn't take him," Adanma said calmly. "He offered himself." "You think I came here to argue," Ngozi said, stepping closer. "You've been playing with boys. Now face a woman." Adanma stood slowly. "Be careful, Ngozi. You don't know what you're dealing with." "I do," Ngozi said, holding up her Bible. "You're ancient, beautiful, deadly, but you made one mistake." Adanma raised an eyebrow. "Which is?" "You thought every man would be weak." There was silence. Then a low hum filled the room deep, like a growl from beneath the earth. The walls pulsed once. A shadow crept from under the bed, but Ngozi didn't move. She opened the Bible and began to read aloud, her voice steady, rising with power. Adanma's smile faded. "Stop." Ngozi kept reading. Psalm 35, every word hit like a strike of lightning. "Contend, Lord, with those who contend with me. Fight against those who fight against me." Adanma staggered back, her body trembling slightly. "You brought your husband's energy here," she hissed. "I still hold it, his dreams, his strength, his fire." Ngozi stepped forward, eyes blazing. "Then give it back." And then something shifted. Adanma's eyes rolled back, her skin cracked at the edges, glowing like embers under the surface. A sharp wind exploded in the room, tossing chairs, slamming windows open. But Ngozi didn't flinch. She kept praying, kept pressing, until suddenly, with a scream that sounded like it tore through centuries, Adanma fell to her knees. From her chest burst a mist glowing, golden, and it flew out the window like a dove escaping a burning cage. Somewhere in Oritama, Obinna woke up screaming. He sat up, gasping, clutching his chest, and for the first time in days his eyes were clear. Back in room 7, Adanma collapsed to the floor. Her glow faded, her beauty dulled. Ngozi walked to her slowly and knelt. "You're not a goddess," she said. "You're just a cursed soul feeding off broken men." Adanma looked up weakly. "How did you resist me?" Ngozi leaned close and whispered, "Because real women don't fall for shiny things. We build men, we fight for them, and we know the difference between desire and destruction." She stood, wiped her palms, and walked out. As she stepped into the night, the wind returned, warm and free. The next morning, room 7 was empty. No Adanma, no perfume, only a note left on the mirror. "I'll go where men still chase shadows. Your town is safe. For now." The young men of Oritama changed. They stopped running after every curvy silhouette, every swinging waist, every giggle wrapped in lipstick. They remembered Victor. They remembered Obinna. But most of all, they remembered Ngozi, the woman who looked the devil in the eye and didn't blink. The end, and thanks for watching. I'd love to know, where are you watching from in the comments. If this story touches your heart even a little, please hit the like button and subscribe to join this inspiring storytelling family. Your support means a lot to us.